When I was about 8 years old, I went out to eat with my mom, her friend Regina, and Regina's daughter Mary, who was also my friend and the same age as me. The restaurant we were at was connected to a hotel. This hotel had a pool area which also had arcade games near it. Mary and I knew this at the time, and we got bored of sitting with our moms, so we asked if we could have some quarters to go play the arcade games. This took place in a small town, so they let us go by ourselves without any worry. Mary and I happily got the quarters and made our way out of the restaurant and out into the lobby to walk towards the pool door where the arcade games were. On our way out, though, we had to walk by the opening to the bar, which was located next to the restaurant. There was one table that was situated close to the door, and I could see a man sitting at a table. He looked at me when we walked by and we made eye contact. I remember feeling really uncomfortable, so I looked away from him quickly, but not before I saw a wide, creepy grin spread across his face. I can't remember if he had other people at the table with him or not, because the look he gave me bothered me so much that I didn't really take in any other images. My friend and I continued on across the lobby. We walked in through the pool door and went towards the arcade games. The arcade games were kind of up in a little loft area. I assumed they couldn't be on the exact same level as the pool because it could be dangerous and possibly a fire hazard. This lofted area was connected to the second floor of the hotel with a door. There were windows from the second floor hallway too. I assume it was so guests could access the pool from the second floor instead of going through the lobby. Also assumed the windows were there so that guests could view the pool from the hallway. Mary and I were really getting into our games. I was playing a race car game one, remember. Mary was playing some game next to me when I get this weird feeling like I am being watched. I look up from the game and over to my left where one of the windows from the hallway is. I feel sick when I see the same man I saw earlier in the bar doorway, staring back at me through the window. He then ducked down below the window when he saw me look over at him. I turn to my friend and grip her arm as hard as I can and tell her to look at the window. She gets annoyed at me when she looks and the man is gone. I tried to get back to my game even though I have a really bad feeling in my gut. Mary didn't seem too bothered, so I tried to tell myself it wasn't a big deal and that he probably went away. But of course after a while I got that creepy feeling like I was being watched again. I looked back over at the window and he was back again and watching us. When we made eye contact, he grinned so wide and had this terrifying look in his eyes that made me sick to my stomach. This is when I'd had enough. I was terrified, so I grabbed my friend's arm as hard as I could and I dragged her back into the pool area and out into the lobby to find our moms. On our way out, I turned around once to see if he was still in the window, but he was gone. When we got back to our moms, I tried to tell them what happened, but they didn't take me seriously. It makes me kinda mad even to this day that they didn't take me seriously. It was a really small town though, so I assumed they just couldn't believe it would happen there. But it was still a hotel where a lot of people from out of town stay. Another thing I know is that the pool area had a door that goes out to the parking lot, so he could have grabbed us and brought us outside to his vehicle. No one would have even knew because the pool had been empty during the entire incident. It could have just been a weirdo trying to scare us, but I don't feel like it was that simple. I still remember his grin clearly to this day, and it makes me sick every time I think about it. Man with the terrifying grin, let's not meet again. When I was 3, in 1986, my parents and I lived in Tucson, Arizona. My younger sister was a little under 1 year old. We lived in 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom brick house, with a 4-foot chain link fence around the backyard. There was an alley running behind the backyard. It was a relatively safe neighborhood. We also had a dog, named Bandit, who was half pug, and half cocker spaniel, whom we had since I was about 6 months old. One day my mom was inside doing dishes and cleaning while I was playing out in the backyard. She would let me play alone out back because the yard was fenced and I couldn't get out. Anyhow, the kitchen window faced the backyard, so periodically she would look out the window to check on me. My mom said she was washing the dishes when our dog Bandit began barking and growling. She looked up out the window to see a man in his 40s leaning over the fence, trying to coax me over to him. Bandit had placed himself between the man and me, and was trying to bite the guy. My mom rushed outside, and as soon as the guy saw my mom, he took off running down the alley. My mom grabbed me and ran inside to call the police. They came and investigated but never caught the guy. My dad wasn't a big animal lover, but after that day he had only admiration for our dog, who saved me from being kidnapped. He wasn't a big dog, or particularly mean-looking, but he was the best boy ever. He died of old age when I was 14. I still remember how he would follow us kids wherever went and was always there to protect us. I still miss him, all these years later, and get teary-eyed thinking about him. Thank you, Bandit, I will always love you. I come from a chaotic upbringing. I was born and raised as a child in South Korea. I later moved to Australia with my mother having lost my father in a homicide. The next few years of my life in Australia were difficult. Meeting and making friends was difficult in the early 90s, particularly since I was quite nerdy, and did not speak much English, something most Australian kids at the time did not relate well to. One of my scariest memories from when I was aged 12. At the time, it did not even occur to me just how close I came to potentially losing my life. My mother and I were on a road trip, heading south from Melbourne to stay on the southern coast. We had stopped one evening at a small, well-kept caravan park. The caravan park was quaint and beautiful. Neat grass, nice flowers, frangipanis blooming, and a small creek which ran along the edge of the premises. It reminded me of home. I spent some time walking around, on my own, as my mother was taking a nap. I discovered a game and pool room. I went inside and spent probably a good few hours playing pool by myself, and generally just mucking around when a young boy came in. I was very shy, and so was he, but we eventually talked for a little while and became friendly. I do not remember playing any games with him, but I do recall him being pretty nervous. He kept asking me if I wanted to go back to his caravan, as his parents were making dinner soon. At first, I was not interested, and said no. We spent some more time doing things and talking. As it got late, he became more pushy, and asked if I liked cake and lollies. Of course, I said, that much I do remember clearly. I followed him to his caravan, which was much older than ours, and quite dilapidated. He asked me to wait outside while he talked to his parents. I waited patiently for a few minutes, until the door opened, and a larger older man with glasses and no shirt opened the door and asked if I would like to come inside for cake. I was scared, but I remember feeling like I had to, like it would be rude of me to leave. As I was walking in the door, I heard a man behind me shout out, "Hey, what's going on here?" I was quickly grabbed from my collar of my shirt. The man then quickly tried to lock the door behind me, however the stranger was too quick and burst in the door. He took my hand abruptly and pulled me outside, and we frantically ran away. The man asked which unit, room, caravan I was in, and took me straight there. We went inside and my mum yelled at him asking why he was there. I was hiding in the corner crying while he explained what happened. We packed back up that night and left immediately. I was already heavily on anxiety medication after what happened back home, and we never spoke about it alone again. My mother claimed it was something I should talk to my therapist about. Every time we all spoke about it, my mother would leave the room. It scared the hell out of her, and I did not really understand why. I guess at that age it's difficult for the brain to comprehend the severity of the situation. Looking back on it now, utterly scares me to the point of losing sleep.